Hello friends! In my previous videos I built the Hobbit house and the Gryffindor common room, and now I want to build a character. I thought I'd show you folks what a realistic looking Minecraft Iron Golem looks like. I start by making a frame from aluminum wire. I recommend using a thicker diameter wire, such as 4 mm, as the thin 2 mm wire I choose may not be suitable. To prevent the frame from wobbling, I secured it using small section of thinner wire and painter's tape. I changed the shape of the torso, making it more elongated, and bend the limbs in a way that creates a pose that looks like he's running. This is how the resulting frame looks like. I crumple out the pieces of paper, then wrap them in masking tape and squeeze them well to make them tighter. This allows me to avoid wasting clay when sculpting. Perfect. I place this lamp in the center of the frame and secure it with masking tape. For the bottom part I made the lamp of foil. Well done! Now I take pieces of foil and wrap them around the entire frame to give the arms and legs extra volume. I use 20 micron thick foil, because it holds its shape better. The base is ready and looks like the monster from SCP. Now I need to cover the entire surface with clay. I will be using air dry clay, which does not need to be baked. That's why it has paper inside. However, if you prefer to use polymer clay, it is important to use only aluminum foil, as it will not burn when baked. By tearing of small pieces, I will cover and level the entire surface of the future golem's body. I decided to take a short break from filming to learn the art of sculpting, as I have no experience in this area. During that time, the golem's body had time to solidify. I had some problems. I accidentally broke his arm and some small cracks appeared. But it's an easy fix, I just cocked the brick and the crack. Looks good as new, and I'll finally show you how I made the head. To start, I make two balls, one larger than the other, and staple them together. Smooth the place of the bond and take two triangles. This will be the cheekbones. It's very important to fasten all the parts together well, otherwise they may fall off. I make two sausages and attach them to the bottom of the chin. Lay them behind the cheekbones all the way to the forehead and smooth them out thoroughly. Repeat the same with the second sausage. It went well, I think. Now I need a tool with a metal ball on the end of it. I pressed through and around the sides of the head to make it more embossed. With the silicone brush I make relief as if from a mason's tool, because this golem was made by the villagers. Now I take the plate and cut the upper jaw out of it. I put it on and smooth it out. Right now the head looks like the helmet of some Imperial stormtrooper from Star Wars. But it is stone golem, and instead of eyes it will have two dark holes. First I make small holes, and then I make them bigger. Between them is a big nose, almost as big as in Minecraft. The chin is made very easily, it's a thin layer of clay and a small sausage at the very bottom. Open his mouth slightly with the spatula. And make a variety of grooves, cracks and scratches on the head. Done, but I can figure out who he reminds me of, something between the Japanese demon Oni and Goomba from Super Mario. I mix some clay and PVA glue to attach the head to the solidified base. I got a very thick mixture that will bond them together nicely. In my opinion, the creation of a golem is the best starting point for those who are learning to sculpt. No need to know anatomy, it's pretty easy, except head, which is tricky, yeah. Now I'm gonna need that tin rod. Externally, it is indistinguishable from iron, but it's easy to cut it off and melt it down. One must melt the metal in a special container called the crucible. When the metal melts, I'll just pour it out, and while it is in flight, I'll quickly prepare water in a metal bowl. I got some nice pieces of iron ore, but look what happens when you overheat the metal. We'll produce fluffy lumps of tin. Pour out the tin as soon as it becomes liquid. I put some PVA glue on the base, took a small piece of clay and then molded it into the shape of pegs like bodybuilders and the texture of a rock. Before the clay hardens, I can stick a piece of ore into it, which I made before. They will be firmly attached once the clay dries. Below the pectoral muscles I'll make some sort of ribs, and of course I'll add spikes to them. To make the shoulder I need a large lump of clay. I didn't show it in the video, but I make sure to cut all the parts with glue, otherwise they might fall off. I put most of the thorns in the shoulders. They should be very prickly, I think. I cover the space between the shoulders with a small boulder. I add 2 shoulder blades and make a mane of sharp stones in place of the spine. I'll cover the rest of the back with different shaped rocks. For those who view my artwork, I like to leave little surprises, so I made 2 small buns at the back bottom. They might not be noticeable at first glance, but they will definitely put a smile on your face. Cover the golem completely with stones in the same manner. It may take a while, but it is a straightforward process. The fist took a little longer. I made it out of a piece of clay that I glued to his hand and carried the fingers out of it. With the other stones, I'm trying to mimic the muscles, to make the golem look more realistic. I can't wait to get done. I leave a little space between the cobblestones. Moss will soon appear there. Phew, it's done. Let's paint this. I paint with acrylic paints, very diluted with water. This material absorbs moisture very well, and this way of painting is very easy and the result will be very realistic. The paint spreads well and gets into the most inaccessible places. I applied several coats and until the paint dried I wiped it off with a clean wet brush from the protruding parts. Now I'm going to mix the yellow and brown paint with the water. And I apply it in one coat to all surfaces. I put paint on all the spikes and they stopped shining. But it's easy to fix, just wipe it with a damp cloth. The paint has been able to soak into the metal. I've already mentioned that there will be moss between the stones. I'll make it out of kitchen sponge. It's a well-known method. The main thing is to soak it well with acrylic paints, but even if it remains yellow in the depths, it's not a big deal. I did 4 different shades, that's enough. After they dry, I grate them on a grater. The acrylic paint made them tougher after drying. It also made them easier to grate. It's done. I glue the moss with PVA glue. Just dab the glue and stick the moss in the gap. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's really important to me. And I also want to know what you think. So leave your comment below the video. I'll be sure to read it. Thanks. This project is nearing completion. I am gluing the last pieces of moss and will be left to make the stand. For the stand, I'll take plywood and cut a circle out of it. I cut out pieces of XPS foam that the golem will stand on, and glue them to the base with hot glue. I'll round the corners so they are not so square. And I'll cover the whole surface with clay to make boulders. scattering some smaller rocks. And I paint everything black. I will sieve the remaining moss through a sieve to get the finest fraction. And I stick it in different places. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.